Good morning, good afternoon, and greetings of the day to all the students. Welcome back to our channel, Proper Pariksha, to the video chapter 5, part 3. So, in the part 1 and part 2, we have discussed the measurement, the methods of measurement, and positioning error, and we have discussed in detail the exercise 5.1. In this video, we'll be dealing with types of angles such as right, straight, complete, acute, obtuse, etc. And we'll be dealing with the topic of RA tester, also known as the right angle tester. Okay, so without wasting any time, let us start the video. Okay, so coming to the topic of angles. So as you see that I have done two things. I have written the classification in the typed form. Okay, so that you can pause the video and write it down later after you have understood it. Also, I have drawn some north, south, east, west perpendicular lines as you see in a compass, so that we can understand the concept of angles much better, and also the concept of quadrants. Okay, they both are totally interlinked with each other. So as you know that north, there is a polar opposite which is known as the south, and on the right side of the north it lies east, and on the polar opposite of east there it is west. So in other words, north is the polar opposite of south. At the right side of the north there is east, and on the left side of the north that is west. Okay, so this is the north, south, east, west diagram which I thought I should explain first. After that we'll come to the topic of quadrant, and then we'll come to the topic of angles, so that everything is crystal clear. Okay, so now first of all, the first thing to be mentioned is that angles are measured in counterclockwise direction. Okay, clockwise direction, in the direction in which the clock revolves. Counterclockwise direction, the opposite of the direction in which the clock revolves. Okay, this is clockwise and this is counterclockwise. Okay, write it down in a box so that you can remember it later on, so that you do not have any sort of confusion. Okay, chalo. So now, what is the use of this counterclockwise? Excellent. The use of this counterclockwise is that whenever you measure an angle, you will measure it in the direction of counterclockwise. Okay, everywhere the direction will be counterclockwise. The first thing. Okay. The second thing is that instead of writing north, south, east, west, the things which will be mentioned on the axis will be x, and the opposite of x will be x dash, and instead of north it will be written y, and the polar opposite of y will be y dash. Okay, x will always be on the east side, y will always be on the north side, x dash will always be on the west side, and y dash will always be on the south side. That is not a standard rule, but that is used globally so that we can avoid confusion, and so that there is no and so that we can obtain simplicity in calculation as well as in observation. Okay, the third thing is that I should write here x, y, x dash, and x, y dash. Okay, these will be the axis names. Okay, now the x-axis represents the positive, the y-axis represents the positive, x dash represents the negative, and y dash represents the negative. Okay, okay. This concept might not be used, the x dash and y dash concept might not be used as of now in class 6th, but in the senior classes you will definitely get to know about this concept, and knowing it earlier will give you a head start as compared to your other classmates. So as you know that in proper Pariksha we mention the concepts and all the necessary things which are required at at the initial stages, so that even if you are not able to fully grasp the concept, you can, with the flow of time, as the time proceeds, you will get to practice more solved examples in the video with us. Then you will get to revise the concept, and slowly by the end of the chapter, you will get the hands-on totally on that additional concept as well as on the required concept as per NCERT. Okay, now coming back, x is positive, y is positive, x dash is negative, y dash is negative. So what is the use of positive negative? The only use is that as we draw a number line, we draw with the help of a 0, and on the left it is minus and the right it is plus. So in short, this is x and this is x dash. And you following the unitary distance, we will write 1, 2, 3 and 4, and similarly minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. That is the sole use of x and x dash and y dash. Okay. So now I have mentioned the positive and negative sides. Okay. Now coming to the classification of angles. Okay. For example, this is the quadrant. Not so clear, but yeah, it will suffice. It will help you to understand what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. So when an angle is, I will write A as an abbreviation for an angle. When an angle is less than 90 degrees, then it is known as acute angle. What is the dictionary meaning of acute? Acute means something which is small in the earlier stages. Acute means something, an angle which is less than 90 degrees and greater than 0. Okay. Okay. So this is the definition of acute angle. You can also remember it by the dictionary meaning of acute. And when the angle is totally equal to 90 degrees, then it is known as, I will write it over here, when angle is equal to 90 degrees, it is known as right angle. Why is it known as right angle? Any guesses? Dictionary meaning? Okay, I'll give you an example. When your teacher says to you, when you are sleeping in the class, what does the teacher say? Sit upright. Okay, so sit upright. That means you have to sit with the whole vertebrae and the whole backbone totally straight. So that is the meaning of right, sit upright. So from that we have taken the right angle. When the angle is less than 180 degrees but greater than 90 degrees, then what? Then it is known as the obtuse angle. Okay, and if the angle is equal to 180 degrees, then it is known as the straight angle. So far I think the things are clear. Acute angle, right angle, obtuse angle and straight angle. These are the four classifications within 0 to 180 degrees of gap. Now the only two definitions which remain is, if the angle is less than 360 but is greater than 180, then it will be a reflex angle. Okay, and if the angle is equal to 360 degrees, it will be a complete angle. Okay, so pause the video and write these things down so that we can understand the things which are to be understood each one by one after you have written it down. Okay, so now beginning with the acute angle 0 to 90 degrees, I have already mentioned the use of comparison signs in our earlier videos, I think in chapter 1. So less than means when the angle is just before 90 degrees, 89.9 it will suffice, but 90 degrees is not less than 90 degrees, it is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so the angle should be greater than 0, it should be either 0.1, 0.2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, or it should be 80, 85, 89, 89.9. Okay, so then it will be in the bracket of 0 to 90 degrees. Now if it is 90 to 180 degrees, what does it mean? It means it is either 90.1, 90.2, 91, 92, 95, 100, 105 and so on till 170, 175, 179.9. Then it will be in the bracket of obtuse angle. If it is equal to 90 degrees, it will be right angle. if it is equal to 180 degrees, it will be a straight angle. And if it is greater than 180, either it is 180.1, 180.2, 185, 190, 195, 200, 250, or 350, 355, 360, not 360, 359.9, then it will be in the bracket of reflex angle. If it is 360, then it will be a complete angle. So pause the video if you have not understood anything. If you want to write anything extra, write it down. I hope you have written down these 3 points and you have written down this graph along with the classification of the angles. And you have written down the north, south, east, west and the quadrants, how they are made. Write these 4 things. It will help you totally throughout the chapter. Okay. So now we will solve some examples. What is the angle name for half revolution? Okay, what is an half revolution? As I said, 0 to 90 is 1/4 of the revolution, and 0 to 180 is half revolution, and it represents a straight angle. What is, coming to question number 2, what is the angle name for 1/4 of a revolution? 1/4 of a revolution, as I've already told you, when the teacher catches you sleeping and it says sit upright, then it is the 1/4 of the revolution and it is known as the right angle. Okay. Okay. Coming to question number 3. Draw 5 other situations of 1/4, half, and 3/4 revolutions on a clock. Absolutely, you can write it. What will be 5 other situations of 1/4? Okay, I'll write it over here only. When it is 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Okay, and 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And what else it can be? One more we need, 3:30, or you can write 3:35, whatever. 3:30 will also suffice, and you can write similarly 6:45. Okay, so this will also suffice. Okay, so now coming to half of the revolution. What is half of the revolution? It is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. What else it can be? It can be 3:45 or 3. It can be 9:15. Okay, it can be 10:25. 10:25, 10:20, 10:20. Okay, so these are the timings which will represent the half of the revolution. And similarly, you can do, you can write 5 examples for 3/4. Take a clock. If you have an analog clock, वो clock जिसमें कि सुई होती है, साइड में एक चाबी होती है, उसको घुमाते हैं तो सुई घूमती है इस तरह से. You can use that also, and you can write the example for 3/4 revolutions of a clock. Okay. So now we'll come to the right angle tester. What is a right angle tester? Okay. So right angle tester is nothing but just an instrument or a method in order to check that if the angle is a right angle. So the first and foremost tool which you have in your geometry box is a triangle which is shaped like this, and a triangle which is shaped somewhat like this. So you can use this in order to check if anything is right angle. For example, you can check the wall with the ground. This is the wall. You can put it over here and you can check if it is a right angle. Also, you can check the edges of the table. For example, this is a table and this is the legs of the table. You can put the triangle over here and you can check that if the desk or if the floor of the table is perpendicular, is in right angle with the leg of the table. You can use this in many different situations. You can also use to check if the binding of the book is in right angle or not. You can check it in order to see if your monitor, your BC desktop monitor is placed right angle or is it obtuse angle. Similarly, you can check if something is not fitting. For example, if I have something like this, so if I'll try to put the right angle tester, it will not fit. The edges will not coincide. Therefore, it will be an acute angle. And if something is like this, pay attention over here, okay? If something is like this, if I will put the right angle tester over here, the edges will coincide, but this will leave a gap. So this will be an obtuse angle, simple. And if both the things match, the edges of the thing to be measured and the edges of the right angle tool or tester tool, whatever you call, then it will be a right angle. As simple as that. So right angle tester is nothing but a tool or a method to check that any two surfaces or edges are in are placed at the gap of 90 degrees or making a right angle. As simple as that. Okay. Now coming to this some solved examples. So I have written the definition over here. You can write it down. This is the symbol of definition. Okay. So right angle tester, I will read it once. Right angle tester is a tool or a method used to identify if the edges or surfaces joined together at a point. This is important. If something is like this or if something is like this, uh, it is not used, but they should be joined together. Okay. Joined together at a point make 90 degrees or are at right angle with each other. बस simple सी definition है. Pause the video and write it down. Now coming to some solved examples. So example number 1, look around you and identify edges meeting at corners to produce angles. List 10 situations. So okay, I'll just write the answer. I don't think there is any need for explanation for this, because as I've already told you the 3 points and how the quadrant is to be drawn and how it is similar to the north, south, east, west, and how the angles are measured and what are the positive and negative axes and how the angles are classified and how it can be like represented with a clock or with the edges or with the notebook or the table or the leg of the table, etc. So I'll just write the answers. You can copy it down by pausing the video. Okay, so I've written down the answer. You can write it down. So the first is wall and floor. Obviously, it makes a right angle triangle. The roof and wall, that also makes a right angle triangle. The tabletop and the legs, that also makes a right angle triangle. The table legs and the floor, that also makes the right angle triangle. The door and frame, for example, the door when it is opened like this, and this is the frame, so it makes a 90-degree angle. A nail inserted in a wall, this is a wall and a nail, it is inserted and things are hanged upon it, so it is a right angle triangle. Charger and electric board, I have drawn it over here. Man standing upright on floor, very obvious. Notebook when balanced perfectly on the tabletop, we try to balance our notebooks on the tabletop when we are bored in the class, so it makes a right angle triangle. Okay, so you can write these down and we'll move on to the next topic. List 10 situations where the angles made are acute. What is an acute angle? Something which is small. Which is the smallest classification? 0 to 90 degrees. That is an acute angle. List 10 situations where the angles made are acute. I think that this will be your homework for you to do. I will give you some examples so that you can proceed forward with it. Okay, so first, pen while writing on notebook. For example, this is a paper. No one writes while holding the pen like this. Everyone has the pen little bit tilted on the either side, depending if he's a righty over here, if he's a lefty over here. Okay. The second example, which can be a realistic example, is bicycle when taking a turn. So as you know that bicycle, when it needs to be turned right or left, I'm not talking about the bicycle used by learning babies which have four tires. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about bicycles which have two tires. Okay, so when it is to be turned, if it is to be turned on the right side, it is somewhat tilted on the right side like this, and then it is turned. Okay, so these are some of the examples. You can imagine it yourself, you can see in your daily life, and you can write such answers. You can write the leg of the footballer when it has to hit the football in a penalty kick, because the ball is like this, the ground is like this, and the leg is like this, and it shoots and it goes in swing, and that's a goal. Okay, moving on. See, the purpose of such examples is that to open up your mind. If you are not doing such examples and you are just watching the video and proceeding onwards, and you are not doing as you are told, then it will be your loss, because you will get only a prefabricated information. We are giving you, the proper Pariksha team is giving you the best information, the best concepts, and the best way to solve the questions as best as we can, and anyone can. But there are some DIYs, there are some do it yourself, there are some homeworks which you have to do, so that you can sharpen it, so that you can open up your mind, and so that you can be not only an average student but a better and a good student, or even an excellent student, if you work hard upon yourself. Okay, so I'll write down for question number 4 two or three examples, and the remaining you can write it yourself. Please do it, it is for your betterment, and ultimately you will get the benefit from it. Okay, write 5 situations where the obtuse angles are made. Okay, perfect. So the obtuse angle is made: a gamer and a desktop. If you see a desktop and the table on which it is placed, it makes an obtuse angle. Am I correct? Okay. So try to think about such realistic things which happen in your daily life, and you will ultimately get such examples. You can take a holder, a bulb holder, because there are some bulb holders. Earlier, the bulb holders used to come like this, but now the bulb holder come a little bit tilted towards the down, so that there is much more lighting on the customer end, on the floor's end, and not on the roof end. So the wall making an angle, or you can say the bulb making an angle with the wall. And as you know, the angles are calculated on the counterclockwise direction. Therefore, it is an obtuse angle. So now coming to question number 5. What is a reflex angle? First, we should know that before listing the 5 things, reflex is something 180 degrees to 360 डिग्रीज. अब 5 एग्जाम्पल बताने हैं. सबसे पहला एग्जाम्पल तो यार आप क्लॉक से ले लीजिए. अगर आपका एक कांटा यहाँ है, दूसरा यहाँ है, this will make a reflex angle. It will be 3, what can you say, it is 335. ठीक है, it will be at 7. और क्या हो सकता है? The swinging gates, you can say. There are some swinging gates at the amusement parks which make more than 180 degrees and less than 360 degrees. Chair, a chair, because when we tilt on the chair, it goes like this, and it will be a 180 degree. Okay, rather draw it like this, so that our this direction is followed. Okay, this will be more than 180 degrees. What more can it be? A rotating chair. Rotating chair में क्या होगा? You are sitting like this in front of a doctor and you rotate like this. So if you rotate more than 180 degrees, it is a reflex angle. What more can it be? Rotating chair, swinging gates, etc. A door. Door तो चलो gates में ही आ जाएगा. What more can it be? एक चीज और आपको लेनी है, ठीक है. A basketball or a football. In sports, the swings, when the swings are used, the balls rotate more than 180 degrees, they go up to 540 degrees, etc., and 720 degrees, etc. So they make more than an obtuse angle, they make a reflex angle. Okay, so at a point of time, they can make a reflex angle. So it will be better if I make another video for these solved examples starting from here, and I'll post it in the next video so that the video is not long. For those students who want to understand the basic concepts of angles, who want to understand the basic concepts of uh, quadrant, you can watch the video itself, this video itself, and those who want to solve some extra examples, they can watch another video. Okay, so till the next time we meet, goodbye.